You are walking into Amsterdam in the early 18th century. This city announces itself differently. Not through monuments, not through palaces, but through movement. Before you fully enter the streets, you sense the presence of water everywhere. Canals stretch ahead of you like veins, cutting clean lines through the city. Boats slide past slowly, loaded low in the water. Ropes creak. Wood knocks against wood. This is not a city built around land. It is a city built around flow. Amsterdam in the 1700s is one of the most important trading cities on Earth. Its power does not come from armies or empires carved into stone. It comes from circulation. Goods move, people move, information moves, and the canals make all of it visible. As you walk along the edge of the water, you immediately notice how organized everything feels. Busy but never chaotic. Active but controlled. Every movement seems purposeful. Boats are not drifting aimlessly. They follow known routes. They dock at familiar points. They wait their turn. This city does not rush. It processes. Amsterdam has learned how to manage volume without speed. You pass merchant houses rising directly from the canal edge. Tall, narrow buildings with large windows and hoisting beams extending from their upper floors. These are not decorative features. They are tools. Goods are lifted straight from boats into storage rooms above street level. Barrels disappear upward. Crates are pulled through open doors. Nothing travels farther than it needs to. Distance is minimized. Effort is conserved. This is logistics before machines. And it works. As you continue walking, the smell of trade becomes apparent. Wood, tar, spices, damp rope, grain. This city smells like movement. Amsterdam's wealth arrives by water. Ships come from the Baltic, from the Mediterranean, from Africa, from Asia, from the Americas. You do not need to see the ships to feel their presence. Their cargo has already entered the city. You pass dock workers unloading barrels by hand. There is no shouting, no urgency. Each man knows his role. Each task fits into a practiced routine. Work here is physical, but coordinated. Strength matters, but so does familiarity. This is a city trained by repetition. As you walk farther inland, canals remain beside you. They do not disappear. They follow you. Bridges rise gently over the water, connecting streets without interrupting flow. You cross one, then another. Below you, boats continue moving. Amsterdam does not treat water as an obstacle. It treats it as infrastructure. The canals are not decorative. They are functional. They carry goods deep into the city. They connect warehouses, markets, homes, and workshops. They eliminate the need for long overland transport. This is why Amsterdam works. As you step off the bridge, you enter a street lined with merchants. Some stand near their doors. Others speak quietly in small groups. Business here is conducted face to face. Agreements are negotiated in person. Trust matters. Paper exists. Ledgers exist. But reputation carries just as much weight. A merchant's word travels through the city faster than any document. You notice how many languages you hear. Dutch, of course, but also German, French, English, fragments of others. Amsterdam is a global city, but not a loud one. Foreigners are common. Strangers are not unusual. Trade brings people together long before it brings cultures together. As you continue walking, the rhythm of the city becomes clearer. Morning is for unloading. Midday for sorting. Afternoon for negotiation. Evening for accounting. The city runs on a commercial clock, but it is not mechanical. It is organic. Ships arrive when the wind allows. Goods move when hands are available. Deals conclude when terms align. There is no centralized system directing this. No master schedule. The system works because everyone understands it. Amsterdam is not controlled from above. It is coordinated from within. As you walk past a warehouse door left open to the canal, you glimpse its interior. Stacks of barrels. Bundles of cloth. Crates marked with symbols and numbers. This is global trade made tangible. Each object has traveled farther than most people ever will. And yet here it is, at rest. Waiting. The city absorbs the world in pieces. As you move deeper into Amsterdam, the streets narrow, but the activity does not decrease. It intensifies. Smaller canals branch off. Smaller bridges cross them. Smaller boats navigate tight spaces. The city scales inward. Amsterdam is dense but legible. Complex but understandable. You never feel lost. The water always tells you where you are. As you continue walking, you realize something important. This city does not exist for spectacle. It exists for function. Nothing here is accidental. Nothing is oversized. Nothing is wasted. Amsterdam is not beautiful because it tries to be. It is beautiful because it works. And in the early 1700s, it works better than almost anywhere else in the world. As you continue walking through Amsterdam, the scale of trade becomes more intimate. The large docks fade behind you, but commerce does not disappear. It condenses. Here, trade moves from ships and warehouses into streets, homes, and daily routines. You walk beside a canal narrower than the last, its water darker, slower. Small boats glide through, loaded not with bulk cargo, but with specific goods. Barrels of herring, bundles of cloth, crates of ceramics, sacks of grain. Everything here has a destination. Nothing is drifting. The city is built to receive, sort, and redistribute. As you walk, you notice how closely work and living space are intertwined. Merchant houses rise directly from the canal edge. Their lower levels function as offices, storage rooms, and meeting spaces. Families live above. Trade is not something done elsewhere. It happens at home. You pass a doorway left open. Inside, a merchant sits at a table covered with papers. Ledgers, letters, wax seals. This is where deals are made. Not in grand halls. Not in centralized buildings. But in rooms like this, repeated hundreds of times across the city. Amsterdam's economy is decentralized, but tightly connected. Information moves as constantly as goods. You see messengers arriving on foot, on small boats, carrying letters tied with string. News from ports. Price updates. Shipping delays. Rumors of war. Rumors of opportunity. This city runs on knowledge as much as cargo. As you continue walking, you hear conversation everywhere. Quiet, focused. Not loud bargaining, but careful discussion. Trade here is not chaotic. It is calculated. People weigh risk constantly. Weather, politics, distance, time. Every shipment represents a decision. Every delay has consequences. You begin to understand that Amsterdam's true infrastructure is not just canals and warehouses. It is trust. Merchants rely on each other, on shared expectations, on reputations built over decades. There are contracts, but enforcement is slow. Legal systems exist, but they cannot manage everything. The system works because most people choose to honor their obligations. A broken reputation travels quickly through this city. As you walk past a small bridge, you stop briefly and look down. A boat passes beneath, its cargo covered with tarps. Two men guide it with poles, careful not to scrape the sides. Precision matters here. Mistakes cost time. Time costs money. Nothing about this city encourages haste, but everything encourages accuracy. You continue walking into a busier street. Porters move past you carrying crates on their backs. Their routes are familiar. Their movements efficient. They are not rushing. They are pacing themselves. Labor in Amsterdam is physical, but organized. Work is distributed, specialized, repeated. No one carries more than they must. No one works longer than they can sustain. This is a city that understands limits. As you move deeper into the commercial heart, you see markets forming naturally near canals. Goods arrive by water. They are sold nearby. Fish markets, grain exchanges, timber yards. Nothing is placed randomly. The city's layout follows economic logic. Water access determines value. Proximity determines function. Amsterdam does not separate commerce from daily life. It layers it. You pass a bakery near the canal. Its flour arrived by boat. Its oven burns fuel delivered the same way. Trade feeds the city in the most literal sense. As you continue walking, you notice how international the city feels without feeling unstable. Foreign sailors walk the streets. Some stay for weeks. Some for months. They bring languages, clothing styles, habits. But the city absorbs them calmly. Amsterdam is used to outsiders. Trade requires openness. And openness, practiced daily, becomes normal. There is tolerance here. Not ideological. Practical. As long as business continues, differences are managed. You walk past taverns near the water. Inside, sailors eat, drink, and exchange stories. Deals begin here. Connections form. These spaces are not just for rest. They are part of the commercial network. Information flows where people gather. As you leave the tavern-lined street and move back toward quieter canals, the pace shifts again. Less movement. More observation. Here, Merchants inspect goods, check seals, count inventory. Accounting is as important as transport. This city understands that profit is made not just by movement, but by control. Nothing is left entirely unattended. Nothing is entirely centralized. Amsterdam's power lies in balance. As you walk, you realize how little of this system relies on authority. There are officials, customs inspectors, tax collectors, but they are not everywhere. The city does not function because it is watched constantly. It functions because participation is voluntary, habitual, and rewarded. Breaking the system brings exclusion. Participation brings stability. This creates discipline without visible force. As you continue walking, the repetition becomes clearer. Canal, bridge, warehouse, street, house. Again and again. This repetition is not boring. It is reassuring. It allows enormous volume to move through the city without overwhelming it. Amsterdam does not feel like it is straining under trade. It feels like it was designed for it. Even the streets seem to cooperate. They bend around water. They connect without interrupting flow. You begin to understand that this city is not a marketplace. It is a machine, not a mechanical one, a human one, built from habit, coordination, and trust. As you walk toward another bridge, the light shifts. Reflections ripple on the canal surface. Boats continue moving. Trade does not stop. It slows. It adapts. Amsterdam breathes through water. And as long as the canals flow, the city lives. As you continue walking through Amsterdam, you begin to see the people who make this system work. Not merchants, not officials, but labor. Trade here may appear elegant from a distance, but up close it is physical, repetitive, and demanding. The canals move goods, but people move the canals. You walk along a narrower waterway where boats are pulled by hand. Men lean forward, ropes over their shoulders, guiding vessels along towpaths. Their pace is steady, practiced. This is work learned over years. Bodies trained to move weight through space efficiently. Nothing about this is accidental. You notice how few gestures are wasted. Hands reach, pull, release. Feet find familiar stones without looking. This city has trained its workforce through repetition, not instruction. As you continue walking, you pass teams unloading timber. Long beams are guided off boats, lifted together, and stacked carefully. Communication is brief. A nod, a word, a pause. Everyone knows what to do. There is no shouting because there is no confusion. Labor here is organized by familiarity, not hierarchy. Roles are clear. Boundaries understood. The city does not rely on force to extract work. It relies on habit. You see porters resting briefly against a wall, waiting for the next load. They do not rush. They do not linger. Work is paced to the body. Amsterdam understands that exhaustion reduces reliability. This awareness is built into daily practice. As you move toward busier docks, the density increases. More people, more goods, more coordination. And yet, nothing feels chaotic. The city absorbs activity without collapsing. You notice women participating in trade-related labor, sorting goods, keeping accounts, managing storage. This is not a hidden economy. It is visible and accepted. Trade here requires every available hand. As you walk past open warehouses, you glimpse stacked commodities from across the world. Spices sealed in small containers. Textiles folded carefully. Metal goods arranged by type. Each item represents weeks or months of travel. But here, they are handled as routine. Distance has been compressed by systems. You begin to understand that Amsterdam's true achievement is not wealth. It is reliability. Ships arrive expecting the city to function. And it does. As you continue walking, you pass workshops dependent on trade. Rope makers twisting fibers. Sailmakers repairing canvas. Coopers shaping barrels. These trades exist because shipping exists. They cluster near water. The city's economy is layered. Each function supports another. Nothing operates in isolation. You notice how apprentices move through these spaces. Young workers carrying tools, fetching materials, learning routes, learning timing. The city teaches them simply by existing. No formal schools are required. The streets are the classroom. As you walk further, you pass a ship newly arrived. Its hull is scarred. Its sails patched. Sailors step onto land with practiced ease. Some head toward taverns. Others toward merchants' offices. Their arrival brings more than goods. It brings news, wars, prices, storms, opportunities. Amsterdam processes information as efficiently as cargo. You hear conversations shift as new facts enter circulation. Speculation begins. Plans adjust. This city is always recalculating. As you continue walking, you see the physical cost of this system. Bent backs, calloused hands, weathered faces. Trade enriches the city, but it wears down bodies. There is no illusion of ease here. People accept this because trade offers stability. Work is hard, but it is regular. Amsterdam offers predictability in exchange for effort. As you move into quieter streets, the intensity drops. But the system remains present. Even here, barrels sit by doors. Ropes coil neatly. Boats drift slowly past. Nothing is disconnected from trade. The city's human engine never fully stops. It idles. As afternoon advances, the rhythm softens. Labor slows. Accounting begins. Goods are tallied. Losses noted. Plans adjusted. This transition is smooth. Amsterdam does not switch abruptly between states. It modulates. As you walk along another canal, reflections of warehouses ripple in the water. The city seems to double itself. Above and below. Street and canal. Movement mirrored. You realize that this duplication is intentional. Redundancy creates resilience. If one path slows, another continues. Trade does not depend on a single route, a single institution, or a single authority. It depends on many small actions performed reliably. This is why Amsterdam thrives. Not because it is powerful, but because it is dependable. As you continue walking, you sense the discipline built into daily life. Not imposed, internalized. People do not need to be watched constantly. They know what is expected. This knowledge keeps the city functioning even in uncertainty. Storms come. Ships delay. Markets fluctuate. The system absorbs shock. As long as the canals flow and people show up, the city holds. You begin to understand that Amsterdam is not driven by ambition alone. It is driven by trust in routine, and routine practiced at scale becomes power. As you continue walking through Amsterdam, you begin to notice how power operates here. Not through spectacle, not through constant force, but through structure. Authority in this city is present, but rarely visible. There are officials, of course, customs inspectors, clerks, tax collectors, guards stationed near docks and gates. But they are not everywhere. They do not dominate the streets. Amsterdam does not govern trade by watching every action. It governs by shaping incentives. The city works because participation benefits everyone involved. As you walk past administrative buildings, you notice how ordinary they appear. There are no grand palaces of power here. No monumental expressions of authority. Offices are practical. Records are handwritten. Decisions move at the speed of paper, conversation, and trust. Power in Amsterdam travels slowly. And that slowness is deliberate. It prevents overreach. It limits interference. Most trade happens beyond direct supervision. And that is by design. As you continue walking, you pass signs of regulation embedded quietly into daily life. Standardized weights at market stalls. Marked measures for grain and liquids. Posted tariffs near docks. Rules exist, but they are not intrusive. They are familiar. Merchants know them. Workers expect them. Compliance is routine, not enforced through fear. You begin to see how guilds shape much of this order. Guild symbols appear above workshops. Their presence is subtle, but meaningful. Guilds regulate training. They control entry into trades. They maintain quality. Membership offers protection, stability, and identity. But it also limits competition. Innovation here is cautious. Change must be negotiated. This keeps the system stable, but it also slows transformation. Amsterdam values reliability over disruption. As you walk further, you notice how disputes are handled. Conflicts happen. Disagreements over cargo. Delays. Damaged goods. But escalation is rare. Most issues are resolved through negotiation. Through intermediaries. Through shared interest. Formal courts exist, but they are a last resort. Slow. Costly. Unpredictable. The city prefers solutions that preserve relationships. Trade depends on continuity. Burning bridges is expensive. As you move through different neighborhoods, the nature of authority subtly shifts. Near docks, rules are clearer. Process is more formal. In residential streets, order is maintained through familiarity. Everyone knows who belongs. Everyone knows who watches. This creates security without constant surveillance. Belonging matters. As evening approaches, authority changes shape. Daytime power is administrative. Nighttime power is communal. People watch their streets. They notice unfamiliar movement. Protection comes from recognition. There are no patrol cars. No rapid response. Security depends on presence. This makes neighborhoods inward-looking, but resilient. As you walk past taverns near the canals, you see another layer of regulation. Alcohol loosens restraint, but behavior remains bounded. Innkeepers know their patrons. Regulars observe one another. Disorder stands out because it is unusual. Even here, the city regulates itself. Amsterdam does not rely on heavy policing. It relies on shared expectation. As you continue walking, you begin to understand how limited large-scale power truly is. Rulers exist elsewhere. States, empires, navies. Their influence reaches Amsterdam unevenly. Laws are proclaimed. Taxes are collected. But enforcement depends on cooperation. Without it, authority weakens. This makes the city semi-autonomous in practice. It operates within larger political systems, but daily life is shaped locally. This decentralization gives Amsterdam resilience. Change imposed from above arrives slowly, filtered through habit and necessity. As you walk, you realize how this limits transformation. Major reforms take time. Resistance does not need to be dramatic. It only needs to persist. This is why Amsterdam remains recognizable despite constant activity. The system adapts without collapsing. It absorbs pressure without breaking. Power here maintains continuity more than control. But this balance is fragile. The coming centuries will centralize authority. States will demand more oversight, more data, more speed. In the 1700s, power in Amsterdam still has a face. You know who enforces rules. You know where authority lives. This creates accountability, but it also limits reach. As you near another bridge, you hear announcements spoken aloud. News read publicly. Information shared in open spaces. There is no mass media to amplify messages. Authority must perform itself in person. This keeps power grounded. Most days, nothing dramatic happens. And that is exactly how order is maintained. Stability here is not enforced aggressively. It is preserved through routine. As you walk toward quieter canals, you sense how finely balanced this world is. The systems you see work at this scale. They do not scale infinitely. They depend on proximity, on familiarity, on repetition. Industrialization will challenge these foundations. But for now, in the 1700s, Amsterdam governs itself remarkably well. Not because it is tightly controlled, but because it is deeply coordinated. As you continue walking through Amsterdam, the city begins to feel complete. Not finished, not perfected, but whole. Everything you have seen, the canals, the warehouses, the labor, the routines, fits together into a single system. Amsterdam in the 1700s is not powered by engines. It is powered by coordination. Water replaces roads. Habit replaces automation. People replace machines. This city moves enormous volumes of goods without steam, without electricity, without centralized control. It does so by designing space around flow. As you walk along one last canal, you notice how nothing here is built for spectacle. Everything is built for access. Buildings face the water. Doors open toward movement. Bridges connect without interrupting. The city does not hide its infrastructure. It lives inside it. You pass another merchant house as goods are being hoisted upward. The process is slow, careful, practiced. No rush. No excess. Efficiency here does not mean speed. It means reliability. Amsterdam understands that trade depends on predictability more than force. As evening approaches, the rhythm of the city begins to soften. Boats still move, but fewer. Workers finish tasks rather than start new ones. Ledgers replace cargo. Trade does not stop. It settles. You see reflections of houses, ropes, and masts stretching across the canal surface. The city doubles itself in the water. This visual repetition is not accidental. It reinforces order. Everything has its place. Everything returns. As darkness approaches, lamps appear along streets and near doorways. Light is limited, deliberate. Movement slows. People remain close to home. The canals grow quieter, but never still. Even at rest, the city is connected. You begin to understand how dependent Amsterdam is on balance. Too much trade would overwhelm it. Too little would starve it. The city survives by staying precisely between those extremes. This balance gives Amsterdam resilience. Storms delay ships. Markets fluctuate. Politics shift. But the city absorbs disruption through redundancy. Multiple routes. Multiple merchants. Multiple layers of activity. No single failure can stop the system. As you walk farther from the busiest canals, the streets grow calmer. But trade remains present. A barrel waiting by a door. A rope coiled neatly. A boat tied for the night. Nothing here is accidental. Nothing is decorative. Amsterdam does not perform wealth. It processes it. This is why the city thrives in the 1700s. Not because it is the most powerful, but because it is the most dependable. As you reach the edge of the city once more, you realize how rare this system is. Few cities manage movement at this scale without machines. Fewer still do so without chaos. Amsterdam does it by design. Its canals act as highways. Its people act as engines. Its routines act as control systems. All without noise. All without spectacle. This is a city before modern logistics. Before corporations. Before engines reshape time and distance. And yet, it functions with remarkable precision. You are not walking through a primitive system. You are walking through a mature one. A city that understands flow. That understands limits. That understands coordination. Soon, machines will arrive. Trade will accelerate. Systems will grow abstract. But in the 1700s, Amsterdam still runs at human speed. Water carries the world into the city. People carry it forward. And as long as the canals flow, Amsterdam moves. Quietly. Relentlessly. By design.